everyone. This is Diane Murray from Southern Art Gallery, and today, in our continuation of our Watercolor 101 classes, we're going to talk about values and blending. So value is an extremely important thing for us to learn and to understand. And one of the best ways that I know of to appreciate values is to do a value study. This is a little grayscale. It's made by the Color Wheel Company, and it's just a wonderful little guide. And basically what you can do is you can take any color and you can put the value scale to it, and if you squint you can decide where that is on the range of values. It's broken into 10 different values, from white being the lightest and black being the darkest, and the grays are in between. So what we're going to do today is make our own. And as you can see, I've already made one right here, starting with white and going all the way to black. You can do this with any color, but a black or a dark gray shows up the best, I think. And I made this color with Sennelier's, it's called light gray, but it's really a dark gray. Don't ask me why. And I mixed that with Payne's gray, and that's how I got that color. But you can mix black from any different number of ways. You can take a green and a red and make a nice black. You can take just a whole bunch of colors and mix them together and get a black. You can take the three primaries and mix them together and get a black. And if you have black on your palette, that's fine, just use that. So what we will do is we will start, and I'm going to turn it upside down, even though we're going the opposite direction here so you can see it. Or maybe I'll just put it here. How about that? That'll work. Okay, so we're going to start with our darkest dark here. And you can do this with me. And sometimes it takes going back over it several times. I had to do that here to get it to be at its very darkest value. And the good thing about doing this scale is you can adjust it. So let's say we don't get this value correct, we can go back and add to it. So put your darkest dark there. I'm actually going to make that a little darker by mixing the gray and the Payne's gray. Let's see, that's better. Okay, and now to make the next lighter value, we just dip in our water. And we'll put the next darkest value to it right there. And you know, it's not so critical that this be perfect. It's just important that we learn to see value and to see the slight variations in value. Okay, that needs to be darker. And this one probably is going to need to be darker as well. But we'll go back and adjust it in a minute. Those two look too similar. So when that dries, we'll go back in there with a little more pigment. Okay, we'll add more water. And we'll come on down here. And we'll add more water. And we'll come on down here. And then if it's not light enough, you can just go back over and pick up some of that. I can already tell that these are going to be too light, but we'll keep going, and then we'll just adjust those on our way back. Okay. But it's this is a very, very good exercise for learning to see values in all your references. You'll be amazed. And some of the best paintings you will ever see are high contrast paintings, which means they push the values to the max. They'll always put the whitest white next to the darkest dark. And that's how we bring life to our paintings. Okay, so that we can tell that's supposed to be white, so I don't even know why I put that in there. Hang on a second. Let's get that out of there. So I was not paying attention. Okay, we're still going to call that our lightest. And then this one, we're going to lighten up. So that's just a tiny, tiny bit darker. Okay. Then we're going to go back the other way now. Make these a little bit darker. Let's make that one a little darker. It's important to be able to see a shift in the colors. That might be too dark, but we'll see. I'll lighten this one a little bit. It's hard to get 10 values in here. I tell you, it takes just fiddling with it to really get it to be as dark as it needs to be. Colors are much darker a lot of times than we perceive them to be. I see those are all looking very similar. So let's push our dark darker. There we go, that's better. That means we push this one a little bit darker. Not quite as dark though. So take a little color out of your brush. Okay, we're getting there. These are looking pretty good. I'm pleased with those. So the next thing we're going to talk about is blending your colors. And this is a wet on wet. This is called we'll turn it this way. This is called a graduated wash. And what that means is we start with pure pigment and we just wash our way down the paper. So let's do that. Let's choose a different color. Let's use cobalt this time. First thing we're going to do, there are two ways to do a graduated wash. You can do it on dry paper or you can pre-wet your paper. And now I have the cobalt on my brush here, so we're going to pre-wet this. And of course, the larger the surface you're covering, the larger your brush needs to be. So it's ideal to have this is a synthetic squirrel brush, and it holds a lot of water. So it's really good to have a brush that holds lots of water, a mop brush or a synthetic squirrel, actually. Okay, so that's nice and wet. Now the thing about watercolor is that watercolor will not travel outside of the wet area. So our wash should not travel beyond this. And the easiest way to do a wash, and I'll use a piece of tape, is to put what you're trying to do on an angle. Now we're going to come in and we're going to add a little more water. And you see it, how it's just moves itself all the way down. Then we'll come in with just clear water here. As you can see, it's just going to travel all the way down and stop right here. And that's a graduated or a gradiated wash. Now you can go back in and fiddle with this as much as you want until the paper starts drying. Then if you add more water to it, it will blossom and come back up, because the pigment follows the water. Okay, so that's how you do a graduated wash. So let's say you have two colors like this and you want to do a blended wash. You want to blend one color into the other color. And the easiest way to do that again is to wet your area. Now this works beautifully, and I do a lot of botanical paintings, and this works beautifully for petals. Let's take the cobalt blue and we'll start it on this side here with our pigment there. Bring it on down a little bit. Do our wash. And you always want to keep a wet edge when you're doing washes. That's called a bead right there. And that helps your water to not, your color not to dry harshly. And let's try quinacridone magenta on this end, since it's such a bright color. And I think that's what I used in that one there. Okay. And let's add a little more water. And let's watch what it does. If you take your, if you want to get just a beautiful blend, you can actually move your paper around. That's why I love these little journals for practicing, because they're easy to handle, and yet they're, okay, we're going to bring that way. Let's add a little more water to that. Make sure we're getting that flow we want. Okay, flow it that way. That is a blended wash. So it's good to practice these things. It's nice to get a little journal like this one. And this is actually my favorite because it's very inexpensive. This is called a visual journal. It's made by Strathmore. You can see I got it at Hobby Lobby. And you can always get it at, you know, with a coupon at 40% off. So it cost you about $5 or $6. And it's just wonderful because it has all these practice. And you can paint, you can practice on the front and the back. And these studies are important to master your brushes, your water control, and learn how the pigments flow. And that's all I have today. So thank you for joining me, and subscribe if you care to see more videos like this. And we will see you soon.